Joker Folie dances its way into theaters, but does this second trip into the world of the Clown Prince of Crime deserve its current rating of 33% on Rotten Tomatoes? Find out right now on a brand new episode of Matt in a Matinee. Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Matt in a Matinee. As always, my name is Matt, and I'll be your guide into the descending world of madness in Gotham City known as Joker Folie. Now, whether this is your first time or if you tuned into one of my reviews before, my format will always be the same. I'll give you my likes, my dislikes, all spoiler free, and I'll let you know before I move into spoiler territory. So you have fair warning to shut this episode off, make your way to the theaters, and come back once you've seen the movie to hear my final thoughts. So with that being said, and without further ado, see what I did there? Let's dive into my review of Joker Folie. Struggling with his dual identity, failed comedian Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga, while incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. Arthur Fleck, in custody, is awaiting trial for the crimes he committed 2 years prior. His lawyer, Marianne Stewart, plans to argue that Arthur has dissociative identity disorder and that his Joker personality is responsible for the crimes. At a music therapy session, Arthur meets Harlene Lee Quinzel. Lee confides to Arthur that she grew up in the same neighborhood he did, had an abusive father who died in a car crash, and was imprisoned after burning down her parents' apartment building. Lee also expresses her admiration for the Joker's crimes. However, Harlene's love proves to be a facade, and she manipulates Arthur for her own gain. As Arthur's trial progresses, he confronts his actions and renounces the Joker. This decision alienates Harley, and Arthur ultimately meets his tragic end at the hands of a deranged fan. Now let's start by getting into my likes regarding this film. They're very few and far between, if I'm being honest. Joaquin Phoenix returns to form and gives us another stunning performance as Arthur Fleck, making the best of the situation. Lady Gaga does her best with the direction she was given, finding a way to channel this version of Harley Quinn and really making it her own, in my opinion. Her ability to what feels like tone down her musical talents to meet that of not a pop star, but an amateur should be applauded. She does a really good job of not sounding polished, very much amateurish. Almost so much so that you question her performance in this movie. But the more I kind of sat on it and thought about it, the more I liked it and kind of chalked it up to maybe that's how she wanted to portray this character, or how she was told to portray this character, to kind of tone it down. The film, above all else, registers most strongly as a tragic character study, as you're really dealing in with massive mental health issues, along with, like I said, that dual personality or dissociative personality disorder that they're trying to portray Arthur is suffering from. Catherine Keener delivers a good performance as Arthur's lawyer, Marianne Stewart, who was used as a sort of catalyst to return that feeling of sympathy and compassion for Arthur and his mental illness to the audience members that was felt throughout the first film. Now, my dislikes, I'm going to be honest here, my dislikes are vastly more, but a lot of my dislikes will be covered in the spoiler section. This is just kind of a broad blanket of my dislikes before we go into spoiler territory. My real dislikes on this film are there are pacing issues with the film, causing it to drag on unnecessarily, allowing you to feel all 2 hours and 18 minutes of this movie. Not all the musical numbers work, and most of the time they feel unnecessary and detract from the film. There's times where I found myself getting into this world and really buying into it, but then you would get a musical number that was in Arthur's head that would suck you right back in reality and drag on, and you were like, I'm sitting here in a theater with like 10 people and it's really just not working for me anymore. This film offers barely any plot progression until the third act that still was a crumbled up mess that couldn't be saved by returning faces from Arthur's past. So like I said, those are my likes and dislikes, and I'm going to get into more in my spoiler section. So I'm going to take this time right now, with all that being said, to let you know that we've reached the point in this review that I'm going to go into spoilers. So if you haven't had a chance to see Joker Folie and you still want to, you might want to stop this video right here and come back once you've seen the film. If you're still here at this point, I'm going to take it that you've already seen Joker Folie or you don't care to see it and really don't care about spoilers. Joker Folie try to do a lot to both connect and stand out from the first movie, but the direction they take left the film feeling more like a jumbled up clusterfuck. The change in the Joker-Harley Quinn relationship dynamic was kind of a spit in the face of Arthur and established that he wasn't the true Joker, and he wasn't even worthy of manipulating a so-called doctor, but instead allowing him to be the one that was manipulated by a woman who committed herself to the hospital in an attempt to get closer to the Joker in order to get her jollies off, or, oh yeah, and she just happened to study psychology in college. They threw that little extra morsel in there for you to try to, connect to basic origin story of Harley Quinn that we've all come to know and love. The movie hangs on the fact that Arthur's on trial for killing 6 people, a moment that has me scratching my head like, I'm pretty sure it's more like 8, but let's go ahead and count them. All right, let's count them for a minute, because maybe I'm wrong. We had the 3 Wall Street drunk dudes on the subway. We had Randall, the dude who gives Arthur the gun that he kills in his apartment. We had Murray, that he shot live on TV, and his mom, who he suffocated, and that makes 6. But what about Zazie Beetz' character? Wasn't it implied that he killed her? Not to mention the doctor at the very end of the Joker movie. I mean, he came out there of the office with the bloody footprints after clearly killing her, or are we supposed to believe that he just killed her in his head and stepped in red paint as he walked out of the office? Now, if you've seen the movie, you're probably saying, but we find out about Zazie Beetz' character. Yes, I know that we get the reveal of the fate of Zazie Beetz' character later on when she shows up to testify against Arthur in court, knowing way more about the events of Joker 1 than she probably should have, as she was conveniently told all this stuff about Arthur by his equally crazy mother. The best and most powerful scene in the movie, in my opinion, is when Gary, the little dude Arthur promises he wouldn't hurt and praises him for being the only one that was ever nice to him, and kisses him on the head as he lets him go, takes the stand. Up until this point, the movie was just trying to get us as the audience to question or believe that the Joker is a second personality to Arthur, and that Arthur wasn't able to commit all these gruesome acts, but Joker could. During the cross-examination, Gary kind of flips the script on Arthur when he says to Arthur that he's the only one that never made fun of him, but the actions of killing Randall at the end of Joker 1 traumatized him, leading to the moment we, the audience, get to see that Arthur is nothing more than a wannabe showman, and that the Joker persona is bullshit when Gary's words start to affect him. This goes even deeper when Arthur returns to Arkham and catches a beatdown from the guards after trashing them on live TV, leading to his little buddy who is trying to stick up for Arthur finding himself being choked to death by one of the guards. A moment that Arthur clearly cared about when the Joker we know wouldn't have. The end of the movie showed Arthur reveal that there was no Joker and that everything he did as Arthur. Shocker, right? Leading to Harley turning her back on him along with all his adoring public. Arthur is found guilty as a bomb goes off, blowing a hole in the side of the courthouse. We see Arthur get up off the floor as the camera pans over to Harvey Dent, who is prosecuting Arthur, sitting on the floor with his half-face burnt in homage to his comic book counterpart. Arthur makes his way out of the courthouse as he's helped by a man in full Joker cosplay. Realizing he was no longer able to be the messiah these people wanted, Arthur runs from his captors only to return to the stairs he once famously danced down at the end of the first movie to find Lee waiting for him. After a brief conversation, Lee basically tells Arthur to kick rocks. Arthur's once again arrested and ends up back in Arkham State Hospital where he started. We've come full circle with Arthur ending where he began. The movie ends when Arthur is told he's got a visitor, and as he's going to see who it is, he's confronted by a character that's kind of been lurking in the background the entire movie, asking to tell Arthur a joke. Knowing what it means to be acknowledged, Arthur tells him to tell his joke. So he starts to tell the joke, and the punchline is the very familiar, you get what you fucking deserve, and he stabs Arthur repeatedly with a shank. As Arthur lay dying on the ground and the camera zooms in on his face, in the background, you see this man who just shanked Arthur use the same shiv to carve a smile in his face in what could be assumed to be a nod to Heath Ledger's Joker, and reveals that Arthur was never more than a catalyst that leads to the inspiration of the real Joker. My final thoughts on Joker Folie à Deux is that this movie very much felt like an unhappy Todd Phillips was forced by the studio after the success of its predecessor to create a sequel, and he was hell-bent on making sure they wouldn't ask him for a third. Joker Folie à Deux comes off as a movie that never needed or wanted to be made. The musical aspects took away from what could have been an interesting courtroom drama. I give Joker Folie à Deux a 3.5 out of 10. Now, those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions on the movie. I'd love to know what you thought about the movie, whether you liked it or disliked it. If you feel like my rating is fair, if it's too high or too low, let me know in the comments section below. But that's going to conclude this episode of Matt and Matinee and our review of Joker Folie à Deux. I appreciate you all for checking out my video. If you like what you see, make sure to like the subscribe button for more from this channel. And as always, I'll see you at the movies.